So Fight Week Media Day, is it a day that you've been looking forward to, or is it a day that you've been absolutely dreading? What's your thought?
I guess looking forward to. I like Fight Week. Fight Week's that nervous energy to get out there and perform. Questions asked about the fight. For me, this is recovery week. It's kind of a weird thing to say that everyone comes in here and makes weight, but for me, it's time to recover, make the body feel good, and get out there and show off.
But this fight week's different than a normal fight week, right?
Yeah.
The questions everybody wants to ask.
Oh, yeah, of course.
So is it difficult to have to go back? Because I imagine this is something you want to leave behind, right? So is it difficult to know every interview I do, I'm going to have to talk about the suspension and EPO and all that?
Nah, man. I mean, that's kind of why I was so upfront about it anyways. It's kind of like doing your own therapy, getting it off your chest right away. Nothing I haven't said everything's already been said. I didn't hide behind anything. I put it all out there, and it is what it is. It's something you just gotta. I'm a very mentally tough guy, and it's not gonna ever break me.
Is this one mentally tougher than normal? Because like if there's one slip in your performance, if there's one step down, people go, "Told you that guy can't do it without the EPO." I mean, are you thinking about that at all?
Not at all, man. And there's not gonna be a slip in my performance. I'm gonna go out there and look dominant, so it's gonna be a great one.
Yeah. Of course, the question everybody has, they want to. One time or multiple times.
Yeah.
Cody Garbrandt came out and he's like, I've been doing it for years. So, what did you think, first of all, I guess, when he made that statement? Did you see it?
I didn't know he made the statement. I don't really pay attention to everything going on. I don't watch many fights unless I'm fighting you. I don't really pay attention to the sport for the most part other than what I'm doing, I'm immersed in the gym. I'm immersed in my training. Other than that, I'm in family life and business. But for him saying that, it's kind of ignorant because everything's posted out there on the internet. You saw it put me under a microscope after I failed that drug test. I got these emails just showing that I was being drug tested. And I was like, well, I haven't been drug tested today. But they went back and drug tested me. So they keep an A and B sample. They retested all my samples from back from when they very first started. I think it was right after my Cruz fight. And all of them came back flying colors. So people can say what they want. And, of course, there's going to be those speculations. That's the reason of putting you on blast, right? Because they don't want people to cheat. If you don't want to cheat, then don't go through my footsteps, right? So, those questions are going to come. Those comments are going to be there. Those thoughts are going to be there. But it's public knowledge that, nothing's going to hinder it.
Do you think it'll ever be fully behind? Do you think you'll have to hear about this like every fight for the rest of your career?
I don't think so. I think it's going to erase after Saturday. And you come out there and see how good I look.
Very nice. So you were supposed to fight a couple months ago, right? Suffered a cut in the training. Is that what happened? I guess what happened and what was your mindset then? Because I imagine you're thinking about this amazing comeback story, and then it's like, now I got to pull out of a fight. What was your thought then?
Super pissed, to be honest, because we were 13 days out from the fight. I was drilling, just doing some drills, some kickboxing drills with takedowns and stuff, and just wrong timing with my teammate. He dipped his head as I shot a shot, and we hit a headbutt, and it was a massive cut, So I had been taking the stitches out 4 days before the fight, so there was no way I was going to be able to do it. Bummed because camp went so well. Everything was feeling perfect, and just my emotion of wanting to get back and do this thing already, right? It's already been 2 years, and then May, and now it's going to be 2.5 years, right? So just long camp. Yeah.
Was it important for you to keep the matchup together? Because why was that important for you to keep the matchup together?
Yeah, I was afraid that they were going to just kind of give Sandhagen someone else, right? So that was my biggest worry, was that this is the fight I wanted. He's #1 contender. I couldn't fight for the belt because of the debacle they're going through. This is the next best thing. It's a great fight for me. I know the fight that I can win and get out there and perform very well. So I wanted to make sure it was going to stay the same opponent. So I told him, I'm supposed to fight May 8th. I was like, push it to the end of May, that beginning of the June card. They wanted to make sure that we were still a main event, and the soonest main event they had was July 24th, so now we're here.
Does the history together between you guys, does it factor into this at all, or does that not matter in a real fight?
It doesn't. For me, it's nice to know. I've always done very well against guys that I've trained with. I'm a very good guy about game planning. I know where guys' weaknesses are at. And it's nice for me to know that, but it all matters when the lights turn on. And you can talk about practice all you want, but we ain't here to talk about practice. We're here to do it in front of everyone.
Nice. Are you looking at this as a #1 contender fight? Has it been told to you at all, or is that the way you're viewing it?
It's definitely a #1 contender fight. This is a real title fight, to be honest. I was not very impressed with Aljamain and Jan in their last fight. I think Cory Sandhagen's the toughest in the weight class right now, and this is a true title fight. I'm the true champ coming back, and it's time to prove it.
Is there either one of those guys you'd rather fight for the title?
I think he's the better fighter. Watching that last performance, he did very well with his game plan against Sterling, and I think he'll win the next fight, so I'd probably rather fight him.
Last thing for me, I guess, what's the goal here overall? I mean, I know you want to win, you want to get back to your title, but I'm just wondering, I mean, like, your reputation and all this happening, I mean, are you hoping to rehab that at all, or people to leave that behind, or have you just kind of turned on the world and say, I'm not worried about it anymore?
I mean, excuse my language, but fuck your reputation, you know what I mean? I mean, you got to worry about yourself. I have a great life. I have a great family. I'm just worried about my coaches, my teammates, my family. Other than that, I could care less. You can't be. I've been in this game too long to want to scroll through the comments and think what other people fucking think that are sitting behind their computers and not having anything to achieve for. Yeah.
Let's try this. There we go. Cool. You said that this is the fight you wanted. Obviously, when you take a bit of time out of the sport, some people would maybe want an easier fight, easier matchup to get back in there. What's the difference between the mindset of wanting to fight a top-tier guy right away versus maybe getting back in there and shaking some of that rust off?
Just to prove that I'm the best. I ultimately believe it, so why won't I go out there and fight the best guys? I've been in the gym for 2 years. I haven't been taking time off. I've made some great changes. I believe I'm the champion, so I got to fight the toughest guys. And I don't have time. I'm 35 years old. I don't have time to waste. And we're in the UFC. You say easy fights. Like, let's talk about it. I mean, there's no easy fights, right? I mean, we got the best in the world here. Anything can happen.
This is a sport that's often said that evolves really quickly. I know 2 years isn't the longest time, but do you see any new guys in the division or anything from the new top guys in the division that's changed since you've been away?
Oh, there's definitely always going to be new guys, right? I mean, people are achieving to be their best. I mean, Sandhagen, I think he had a couple fights when I was in there still and had the belt. So, yeah, there's always going to be changes. But the sport hasn't changed. You got 2 arms, 2 legs. Only so much can happen.
Regarding the suspension, I think it would be fair to say that you're not the only guy in the roster who's taken performance-enhancing drugs.
Yeah.
With that said, do you feel that you've been fairly treated, unfairly treated, or reasonably treated with this whole thing?
I don't think anyone cares, right? I mean, it's an unfair thing I did. So, I mean, you get bashed, you get bashed. If you don't, I mean, there's guys that have denied things that they've done, and they've gotten a lot less attention for it, right? I came out and was upfront about it and told the whole world what I did, and I feel like I got bashed for it. But I'm happy with the way I handled it, and that's all that really matters. I mean, how everyone else wants it. Like, again, I don't go through my comments. I don't care what anyone else thinks. I care what how my it's never too late to rewrite your story. I care about what my 3.5-year-old son is going to see when he rewatches my fights, how he's going to see my story, and how I dealt with adversity.
You've been candid this whole process, and so just out of curiosity, you trained with it, now you trained without it. Have you felt a physical difference without it? Did it make a big difference to you in that camp when you were taking it?
No, man, I was dying. You know what I mean? There's no way I'd ever go to 125s again, right? So how about we do this? Let's let every one of my opponents take what I was taking. I could care less because it did not help me. I actually feel 10 times better now than I did going into that fight. I had to lie to myself and tell myself how great I felt going into it because you're a mentally tough, best in the world, pound-for-pound fighter. But to be honest, I could care less if any of those guys are taking what I was doing. I was trying to get my levels back to normal. My hematocrit crashed to the 30s. I was anemic. I didn't want to wake up in the morning and train. I was cold constantly. So to understand what I was going through and the decisions I made and why I thought I should do it, I mean, yeah.
Do you think that's part of the whole thing that no one will ever really understand?
Nah, no one gives a shit. I mean, no one cares about that. I mean, I cheated. That's what it is. No one cares about why I did it because they're all excuses. Everyone has one and they all stink. Yeah.
DJ? Yeah. DJ, hello?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you got that phone call that you had popped, whose idea was it for you just to come straight out? Was it yours? Was it your manager's? Was it like a family, teammate? Like whose?
It was mine. I actually got a lot of flack from my manager and things like that. I was especially because I was all doped up on pain pills after my surgery. Because I knew about the suspension before everyone else did, right? So as soon as I found out about the suspension, I lined up shoulder surgery. I got shoulder surgery, and then the next day it was being announced. And I'm laid up in a sling, and I just knew that the best thing was to get in front of this thing, hear it from me rather than someone else. Again, I got ridiculed for it because I was so upfront about it and let everyone know what happened, but I still think that was the best way to handle it. I think that my family is, my grandpa, my dad, everyone that raised me know that I did the right thing.
And then you've said in interviews that you don't have to fight for money anymore.
Yeah.
You're set. I guess what more do you have to prove? Like, do you have a checklist that you have left? Like, what is it?
The 2 years I turned it into a blessing, right? It was a silver lining. I'd never obviously choose to do it again, but I used that time very wisely, and I set up my business and I set up my life outside the octagon. So I know when I retire that I'm good, right? I don't have to come in here and fight. And I mean, it's pretty nerve-wracking when you're first getting into the UFC and you get paid to show, you get paid to win, and you need that money to support your family. You want to live a certain lifestyle. I mean, that's a lot to worry about, and to not have that is very nice. So to set up the business outside of it has been great. But my checklist, this is just who I am and what I do. So I didn't know I'd be fighting this late in my life. I didn't know I'd be in the UFC for over a decade. But yeah, I mean, I feel great. I didn't realize my body would be this great at 35 years old. But I owe that to Sam Calavita and what he's been able to do to me. I could fight a lot longer if I want to.
You say that you didn't expect to be here. Did you want to retire earlier?
I expected to. I always told my wife, I was like, yeah, I probably don't see myself fighting after 35 years old. I'm 35 right now. I mean, obviously that suspension played a fact in it, right? Maybe if I would have just continued to be dominant this last 2 years, I mean, who knows what would have happened, right? But I was also thinking 35 years old, man, I'm going to be old. I don't feel old, though. I feel like a young kid still. My wife made me grow out the beard a little bit because I still been looking too young. She's tired of making me look. I look like a child. So maybe this makes me age a little bit.
Your beard looks good.
Nah, thank you. It grows in very patchy, but it's all right.
And finally, so you're coming back with no fans, and so I mean, it's basically like when you were on the Ultimate Fighter. Mm-hmm. I mean. Does that play with your mindset at all, or is it just? I mean, you're going in there to kill. I
mean, it sounds like there's gonna be a little bit of fans in there, right? It's not gonna be like completely like it was during the pandemic. I was hoping to be a big giant crowd, right? But then I started thinking about it and how streamlined this is and how easy it is, and it's a way for me to dip my toe back in the water without having to go full bore because I'm the bad guy. You know what I mean? Like let's be honest, I'm the villain. And so I'm sure I would have been booed in a big crowd, So it's one of those things that maybe I get to dip my water in it and get my feet back in there, establish how great I am and everyone understand that, and then go back to the big crowds. Who knows?
Thank you. Good luck.
Of course, man. Appreciate it.
Can you hear me?
There we go.
I always wonder, especially after you were in the training camp and so close to the fight, you take the cut. I always wonder, because I see it sometimes in some training camps where guys will actually implement headgear and others don't. Did that change the way you went into this one? Is that something that you think in the back of your head when you get closer to wear headgear, or does it affect the training to actually put that on?
I slept with my headgear on. No. Man, we were drilling. It wasn't like I was sparring when I did get cut. But yeah, Dwayne did say that maybe I should have been wearing my headgear during that time because we're doing kind of like live drills, right? Like going easy, but you're still doing live motion, kind of fight simulation stuff. I said that I'd wear my headgear the whole time this second fight camp around, but I didn't. It was just a freak accident, Actually, that camp sucked because I got cut at the very beginning of it, and then I reopened it up at the end of camp. So maybe I did need a little extra time to make sure it healed up all the way, and now it's good. Actually, got it tested at Tyler Womble's place at Classic right when I started coming back and doing some live motion. Caught an accidental elbow on it, and I thought for sure it was going to be cut right back open again. But I went to a plastic surgeon the second time around to get the sutures even better, and it held up great. So I've got tons of confidence that it's going to hold up.
Awesome. And then going back in this time, and you kind of touched on a little bit with some of the other answers, in this 2 years that you've been away, I guess on the flip side, what's been the most frustrating thing that you've dealt with, and what has been, you talked about your business, what's been the silver lining in the time away as well?
I think the roughest thing is just watching the weight class take off without you in it, right? Like seeing the things happening without you. A guy wrapping a belt around his waist when you believe it's yours, That's by far the toughest. But it was pretty easy to forget about it when you're a civilian, right? Like, it was nice to have that civilian life and to live a normal life. That I will be looking forward to retirement kind of thing, you know? The silver lining was the 2 years that I got to spend with my son. The first year of his life, I was fighting title fight after title fight. And I completely submerged myself into training when I'm in a fight camp. And I feel like I missed that first year. I didn't miss it, but not as involved as I wanted to be. And so not having to solely focus on a fight for 2 years, I got to really, especially in the developmental stage he was in. You know, I feel like when he's grown up and he's, you know, from 1 to 3 years old, he's so many good habits that you can develop, and I want to be there for that. I want to have a big role in it. I love being a father. I wish I could have 10 kids right now. I mean, it's been so much fun. So that was by far the silver lining. Setting up business is another thing too, but ultimately it was being a dad.
And then lastly, just to sort of end it on this fight week, looking at Cory, just sort of break him down for us. What growth have you seen in his game? Where is he dangerous, and what are you expecting him to bring in this fight?
Cory's a great athlete, you know. When I even trained with him, you know, he'd come in. I mean, I think he was a basketball player before he started becoming into martial arts, right? So he was one of those guys, like, and I was impressed with him being able to scramble and do the things he's been able to do. And he's got great footwork. He's got great distance control. You know, things I guess I've seen the best maybe is confidence, things like that, right? Maybe believing in himself a little bit more. But he's still the same fighter. He's still the same guy. You know, he's still the same guy I train with, and I know that I can come out there and put a beating on him. So I'm excited for Saturday.
And you kind of touched on there lastly. What do you need to do to make sure you get your arms raised at the end of the night?
Be myself, man. Be the same TJ Dillashaw that left that cage with the confidence and knowing that I'm the best, and then continue to add those things that I've done with new coaches. The great thing about myself in fighting is that I could be a different fighter from round to round. I can switch my game plan up when I need to. I can game plan for opponents because I'm so well-rounded. I don't think other guys can do that because they're a one-trick pony. You know, they have a stronger background. If you're a strong grappling guy, we know what your game plan is. If you're a strong, heavy striker, I know what your game plan is. You don't know what mine is. You know, I got to keep you guessing. That's what makes me the best in the world is you never know what I'm going to do. I can come out there and take you down and ground and pound you in. I can submit you. I've been rolling some Gracie Baja with Felipe de la Monica for the last 5 years, and I haven't even got to show it yet. I've been all knockouts, right? Or I can get out there and strike with the best of them. You know, I've already done it with it. And so I'm excited to get out there and show that's how you be the best in the world.
Thanks so much. Best of luck.
Of course, yeah.
You said that you're a villain. Are you going to embrace that the rest of your career? I mean, do you want to be a villain the rest of your career, or do you hope that one day there's a crowd actually cheering for you?
I'll definitely always still have a crowd cheering for me, right? But when I became the villain, I think pretty easily when I was fighting against Garbrandt, right? It was like such an easy narrative of me being the snake. I mean, Conor McGregor made me the biggest villain you can because he's got all this power behind him, right? Like anything he said was gold. And so I was this snake in the grass, and I traded teams. Like I was doing what you need to do to become the best in the world. Yeah, I was thinking about myself. I am in a one-man sport. You know, if you're not doing it, then you're a fucking idiot. Excuse my language. Like, if you want to be the best in the world, travel the world, train with the best. Be selfish in this sport. I'm not here for my training partners. I am. I go and coach Juan Archuleta, but when I'm in my fight camp, I'm worried about myself. I've had to tell Juan that, like, be selfish. Be the best in the world. Do what you need to do. Find those best coaches. I'm the CEO of TJ Dillashaw. You know, like a lot of these other fighters, they let their managers make their decisions for them or their coaches, this and that. I make my decisions. I'm the CEO of this business. I'm going to hire the best coaches in the world. I'm going to find the Tyler Wombles, the Dwayne Ludwigs, the Felipes, the Daryl Christians, the Sam Calavitas. I'm going to find these guys and train with them. So if Dwayne's moving to Colorado, I'm going to go train with them. And if you have a problem with that, go fuck yourself. You know what I mean? And so if that makes me the villain, then hell yeah, man. I mean, let's go for it. But I'll always have all the people around me that are cheering for me that I really care about. That's all that really matters, you know?